Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and today we're going to be talking about toxins for your pet. And some of these might be a little bit more obvious than others, but it's always a good idea to revisit this topic. Make sure you are understanding some of the toxins that might be readily available in your home. So first, let's talk about edible toxins. Top of the list for me is going to be xylitol. So you guys might have seen that before. It's xylitol. It's a sweetener. And so you might not be aware of some of the products that it's in, but you find it more often than not in food, such as instant coffee, different chewing gums, different kind of condiments, maybe some barbecue sauces, maybe some of those other lower calorie, or if you're trying to make those a lower calorie sauce. Also in some peanut butters, and that's a big one because we all, some of us give our dogs peanut butter as an enrichment treat or just kind of in their food. And so just being mindful if there's xylitol in any of that. Some of the other items that xylitol might be lurking in: medication, which of course we want to make sure our pets are not getting into any of our medications as it is, but just being aware that might also be in medications. Also in different dental products, so different toothpaste, floss, mouthwashes, different things like that. And then also there's sometimes the occasion that xylitol will be in personal care items, like baby wipes, face wipes, different things like that. I know we were sticking to the edible category here, but just being mindful of all the different places xylitol could be. Some of the other edible dangers include caffeine. So just want to make sure your dog is not getting into that cup of coffee that you have in the morning or that energy drink that's sitting beside your desk. Chocolate. We all know about chocolate, but just a reminder, chocolate is toxic to your dog. Also garlic. So garlic is a big one, and that one could kind of hide in some different stuff as well, whether it be like a pasta sauce or a pre-prepared dish. Grapes and raisins. That's another huge one that's very toxic to dogs. As we get into the spring months here, we might be making more salads, having grapes and raisins on those, and being mindful, keeping our dogs away from those. Onions kind of falls in that same category, but again, very toxic to dogs. We want to make sure we're avoiding it. And there's a whole other list that we could get into, but those are some of the ones that really come top of mind and are perhaps the most dangerous. And then some of the other things that are non-edible dangers. So thinking about fabric softener sheets, those are easy to just kind of drop. Your dog might get a hold of it and start playing with it. Those can be toxic. Different pesticides and like rat and mice poison. So again, getting into spring here, we might be doing some spring cleaning, moving stuff around. A lot of people are like, yeah, I don't put rat poison down where my dogs can get it. But what a lot of people fail to remember is that mice and rats will actually kind of move that poison around. We've personally seen it when we used to live in New York. We put poison around a protein cookie, and the mice actually moved all of the poison over to the side, completely moved it to get to the cookie. So even if you didn't place that poison where your dog could have gotten into it, you never know when a critter might have moved that poison, made it more accessible for your dog. Some of the other things that might be toxic to your dog that are non-edible, mothballs. So if you are putting mothballs out to kind of keep the snakes away, keeping your dogs away from those. Different paints and maybe some of the different things if you're going to be doing your, spring cleaning, spring sprucening up, keeping your dog away from getting into those and making sure that any paint, spray paint is dry before your dog is released into that area. Of course, different cleaners, especially if they have bleach in them, making sure your dog is not getting in them. If you're cleaning your floor with that kind of stuff, making sure it's completely dry, because if it's still wet and they walk across and then they lick their paws, they can ingest those different toxins. Final category to kind of think about here is going to be different plants and flowers. With spring coming up, I know that we are all eager to get some plants planted. And so some of the things to kind of think about that could be harmful for your pet, and some of these maybe are not as harmful as others. It's just always great to kind of have these top of mind. Some of these might include aloe vera plants, different like plum trees, peach trees, English ivy, hibiscus, hydrangeas, lilies. There are a handful of lilies that are very toxic to dogs. And so I would encourage you that if you are going to be purchasing lilies or having them around the house, make sure you research those first. A couple of others to think about: sago palms, stinging nettles, and the list could probably go on and on. So if you are going to be doing some planting, maybe do a little bit of research before you purchase and plant those particular plants. If you're going to be doing it in the front yard and you have a fenced-in backyard, obviously that might be okay. Think about maybe the neighbor's pets though. Do they come over and wander in your yard? Even if you don't want them to, you probably don't want them to ingest anything that could be poisonous. And if you do run into a situation where your dog might have gotten into something toxic, or if it was something poisonous, there's a couple of different helplines. There's a pet poison helpline. The number is 855-764-7661. Also, the ASPCA has an animal poison control center, 888-426-4435. So would love to hear from you guys on this topic or any other topic. As always, please make sure you subscribe and follow the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We are also on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And if you'd like to send us an email, it is canineculturepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.